Computer audio. Start video. Test. Okay. Invite. All right, I'm emailing you the Zoom link now. Okay, that's good. Might have to refresh your email. Start recording live on Facebook. It's preparing the live stream and preview. And what else is going to happen? My editing service will take out this first part and they will put it on podcast.
Who does your editing? You do. Guys, who does the editing?
Third party. I just started with them. I can't tell you the name off the top of my head. Let me.
So I just call it empowerment what?
The empowerment platform.
The empowerment platform. You can see me pretty good.
Oh, now.
Huh?
Let me see. Let me go back. Yeah, I can see you.
What should I do with like
Facebook thing.
my cord ain't long enough.
Live now. We are live streaming on Facebook with Apostle Joseph Dean IV. And what we're talking about tonight is kingdom building. And we're also going to go into his 2 books that he has released in his workbook towards the end. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year. This is our first podcast of the new year. And I believe we are starting the year off right with the correct information and with this actual webinar. So, Apostle Dean, how are you?
Good afternoon, Tyrus. How you doing, man? I'm excited to be here with you.
Doing well. Now, a little back history. Apostle Dean is my second cousin. So I know him personally. He is older than I am, but we still grew up around the same area, right next door to each other. My grandmother and his father are brother and sisters. So we have that family background, but I can tell you that outside of family, Apostle Dean is just a wonderful, wonderful person, a wealth of knowledge, and is highly regarded in his circle, and I highly respect him as well. So, Apostle Dean, if you don't mind, my question for you tonight: the empowerment platform was made to build bridges, help people, provide assistance where is needed in any capacity, any manner, and just tell the people a little bit about who you are, how you got started, and where you are currently with your ministry and with your apostleship and how that's working and what kingdom building means to you.
Well, like Tyrus said, we grew up together. I'm just a couple of days older than Tyrus, but we all grew up together. We grew up in a traditional setting. Our family is very traditional, and that's not a bad thing because we're foundational. And I think foundational is important. So, how did I kind of get here, and what does the kingdom mean to me? Um, I was sitting one day in a service looking, and the Lord just kind of dropped in my spirit that I got a revelation that the folks around me didn't get. Because I've always been curious, and that's the best word, Tyrus, hungry for the word. I've always wanted to know what was God saying and how was he going to do what he was going to do. And I felt like I needed to be more knowledgeable of the word. How do I get to this next place? So for me, the kingdom is bigger than our local church. A lot of us all we know is church.
Yep.
Anything outside the church is taboo for us. We get nervous. But I know like the 7 mountains of influence. Are you familiar with the 7 mountains of influence?
Yes.
I know you are. So when you look at the 7 mountains of influence, you have family, religion, education, government, media, arts, and entertainment, and business. I think that those things comprise of the kingdom of God. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, these things shall be added. The kingdom is based on God's ways of doing things. How do we do it in the business world? How do we do it in the secular world? I mean, because I think there was a time when things had meaning. Music had meaning. Today, music doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. It's just about a bunch of beats and a bunch of sound. It doesn't have a message in it. So I think when we get back to the kingdom, we go back to God's principles. How do we live this life? How do we live our best life according to his word and get outside the traditions of man? Does that kind of make sense?
Absolutely.
Things had meaning. Music had meaning. Today, music doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. It's just about a bunch of beats and a bunch of sound. It doesn't have a message in it. So I think when we get back to the kingdom, we go back to God's principles. In the meantime, we live this life. How do we live our best life according to his and get outside the traditions of man? Does that kind of make sense?
Absolutely.
Things had meaning. Music had meaning. Today, music doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. It's just about a bunch of beats and a bunch of sound. It doesn't have a message in it. So I think when we get back to the kingdom, we go back to God's principles. In the meantime, we live this life. How do we live our best life according to his and get outside the traditions of man? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Things had meaning. Music had meaning. Today, music doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. It's just about a bunch of beats and a bunch of sound.
You still there?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. So when, and I noticed that you had did a little bit of talks in Montgomery about reconciliation between the races because with the current election and the current administration, a lot of separation and division, even back to when President Obama was elected. A lot of people, I want to say the division started happening again. And you did some work on, and I remember seeing you with reconciliation and reconciling the church. So that also lies into kingdom building, correct? Because
Correct.
reconcile people together, not based on race, because they also say that the most segregated time in America is on Sunday morning.
Correct.
So how is kingdom building and what else can we do in order to, I guess, join together as one? Because under God, we're one race. Color don't matter. How do we get beyond where we are in this separation to further build a kingdom?
I think it's about education and knowledge, and to really realize that we're on the same page. And we have so much hurt and so much misunderstanding. We don't really understand each other. I think we spend more time on the one or two things that divides us and don't look at the 15 things that unites us. So
Go ahead.
when you look at the things that divide us and separate us, and we focus on those things over and over repetitively, we start to get ourselves. You're in your corner, I'm in my corner. Be it black or white, or be it Asian or whatever. Even just with our denomination. So how do we find out what combines us together? What makes us human? What makes us brothers and sisters? Because underneath my black skin or your white skin, we still bleed red blood. So we have to go back and we have to understand. We have to be sensitive to each other's needs, understand where we all came from, and try to have compassion in that area. Because hey, you might not understand, you might not always agree with the other, but because you can't agree, don't mean you get to fall out.
That's right.
So even in the kingdom, we have to go back and say, what would God? How is God way of doing this? Because God doesn't want us to be separate, to be separated. Like you said, the 11 o'clock hour on Sunday is probably the most segregated hour in history. But nobody is scared to say, let me go over and fellowship with you, and let me see how we can do this outside of our arena. Because everybody, to be honest, everybody's looking for power.
Mm-hmm.
And we can just lose if we just come together on one mindset and one accord and do it. And don't worry about how or who is going to be in charge. You do need a leader. Don't get me wrong. But how do we find the best person to take us to the next level? Well, you may be proficient in one area, and I may be lacking in that area. I need to let you lead in that area. Does that make sense?
Right. It makes sense. And so with this, also, once the church can heal within itself, and this is nothing new. I mean, if we go back to Acts, and right after Jesus went back and Paul came on the scene, the Jewish disciples were, is this message for just us? And Paul was like, no, this needs to go to the Gentiles as well. And
Correct.
with that, they had clashes with that, and then it opened up. So we're not saying anything brand new. We just need to go back to our first works and look at how they resolved it, and how they
Correct.
move forward, and how they continue to build the church without worrying about uh, Jew or Gentile.
And don't push your own personal agenda. Let I think one of the things I think you heard the word is you have your truth, I have my truth.
Yep.
I think that's a misconception. If your truth and my truth are different, what's his truth?
Right.
So we need to find out what his truth is, work his truth, and let it go.
Also, I think that, and I'm gonna give a shout out to the Odenton Church of God with their post message, which was partnership, outreach, service, and training. Getting out of the four walls of the church to reach those is kingdom building.
Correct. But you know what I realized? If you're not taught discipleship or evangelism in your first year of your conversion, you probably won't be a disciple. And a lot of us miss that because we don't quite understand what discipleship looks like. We don't understand what discipleship ministry look like. We're so used to going into our own little set, doing our little service from 10:30 to 12 or whatever it may be. And that's it. But if we don't get outside our four walls and really evangelize our communities and our towns and our cities, we're gonna miss it. Our families. I have this thing that I have been looking at, and I don't know, this might be a demonism. But one that the Lord showed me that it all starts in our family. We got to evangelize our family. If the family falls, your town falls, your community. Your community builds your town, your city, your state. Your state is a part of the United States. It's a part of the United Nations. And it all starts in our family. We have to go back and evangelize and bring our families back together. And the kingdom is all about doing that.
They always talk about, and I've always heard grandma and everybody talk about, when there's a message from God, how do you know if that message is for you? Through agreements. Now, we went to church today, and I haven't talked to you. until just now, a little bit before when we were working out, getting on here. But the pastor talked about Andrew, how in John, the first thing Andrew did when John told him about Jesus was he went and told his brother, Simon Peter. And then after he told him and led him to Jesus, he left him there. But he didn't go out to the world. He didn't go out to Asia. Andrew didn't go running. He went home first, told his brother, and brought him to Jesus, and then grew from there. So you confirmed and just repeated basically the same thing the pastor said today with how do you share the word and how do you reach those that are lost and how to bring the kingdom back into, like you said, all industries of the world to
Yeah,
bring us back.
because I believe, Tyrus, that we've given over so much. We've got so focused on the church, on religion, that we forgot about education. And that's why we forgot about the government. When you want, if your son or daughter was in trouble, to know that there was a kingdom judge or a kingdom lawyer, a kingdom-minded lawyer who loved God, who got to make a decision for your son or daughter. It will put you at a different ease. Someone who's hearing God's voice for a direction for your child or for your loved one. I mean, even in government, we need leaders that truly love God, not with their lips, but with their mouth, and want the best for the greater good. And sometimes when it's the best for the greater good, it may not be a direct blessing to you, but it might bless everybody around you. It won't even affect you, but it may be a blessing to everyone around you. We need entertainment and arts. We need the music industry to see, hey, how do we send our positive message to this hopeless world? How do we show positive shows that build up characters instead of taking down characters?
Absolutely. Because if you look at anything on YouTube, and I listen to lots of podcasts, watch lots of videos, the most negative things get the highest ratings.
Correct.
Name of entertainment. But then people need to be empowered. Then they feel lost. Then they feel trapped in their situation. Well, if you're watching the daily news all day long and looking at entertainment shows that show only negativity, your mind is stuck in negativity. So
Correct.
being around people with a kingdom mindset, kingdom building, peace, joy, happiness, contentment, positivity, then you can become the change who you are. And like you said, because that's the number one thing now. Well, I don't want to be all religious, or they are religious over there. People use that, I believe, as an excuse a lot of times. And sometimes it is true. But even the pastor today said the best way to witness almost is to walk it out, live it. So if we're being kingdom minded and we're living a lifestyle, we don't even have to say anything. They will come and say, or he was using an example of someone saying, I'm just so stressed out. Everything's so difficult. And he said, well, I used to be stressed out as well, and leave it at that. And then they're going to ask you what changed. And that's what
Correct.
to the message. And after you give them a little bit, invite them to church, take them, leave them, let Jesus do the work.
Correct.
Instead of us trying to preach it, so to speak, to those who aren't even asking. He was saying, you're trying to preach a message to somebody who's not even asking. Just lay out the path, let them ask, make the introduction, and then let Jesus do the rest of the work.
That's correct.
So with
Because in the kingdom, there's truly no lack there. And I had to look at this because we look at success in the wrong. We measure success based on someone else. Success for you might not look the same that it look. If success on you might not look the same way that it looks on me.
right.
Peace for me, you know what I'm saying? Wealth for me may look different on you than it does on me. And we got to find a place that in the kingdom there's a place of peace. Do we have trials? Yes, we do. We're gonna have those. We're gonna have tribulation. But in the midst of those places, we found peace. We found refuge. So in the kingdom, I asked you earlier, did we have a whiteboard? But I was thinking about, imagine in your room, in your house, everybody normally have three. At minimum, we normally have at least one bathroom.
Mhm.
Normally, we have a three-bedroom. Most houses are three bedrooms if you own a house. Some kind of sitting area. Imagine your master bedroom being the church. Say your house is the kingdom, but your master bedroom is just the church. There are other rooms in your house that are part of the kingdom.
Right.
Don't always visit frequently, but we get caught up in one thing in one way. I tell both of my churches one thing that I say all the time is we go back to this one thing. We can agree on this: one Lord, one faith, and one baptism. However you do it is you. But
Mhm.
there's really one Lord, one faith, and one baptism, and all the other doctrinal things doesn't really matter.
Because a lot of people get hung up on that, get hung up on doctrinal issues and a lot of traditional issues that have been passed down, and we get rooted in those things. And when someone introduces or tries to introduce something new, then it's, oh, you can't do that. That's not how it's done. But you may be almost like the children leaving Egypt. They complain, they whine. If they had just done what God asked them to do, the way He asked them to do it, through His people, through leadership, they would have made it. But sometimes, even when amongst your own, that new message just isn't received the same way because it's so foreign to them.
Correct.
So as you move and you're moving forward with kingdom building on your mind, how does um, church planting and that come into your arena? Is that something that you're
Yeah.
actively?
Because I believe to be an apostle in this age, that's one of our components is to be pioneers. I had this this vision of just understand that we're brave and paving the ways, and we're doing it. Some of us have big platforms, some have a small platform, but I don't worry about the whatever platform that God has before me is when I take. But church planting is very necessary, and always church planting may not be the traditional model that we see. Some folks can't get past. For instance, like the church that I have in Montgomery doesn't have a steeple on. Somebody made a joke one time. We're supposed to go to this church, but they don't have a steeple on it. Well, is it really about the steeple? So, but planning, I have a desire to plant churches in different areas. I'm always looking for the opportunity. I'm looking for the person who plant with me. So, hey, if it's you, let's plan. Let's go. I have a plan. Like I have the vision. I believe that church planning for me starts just by simply having Bible study,
Mm-hmm.
simply having small group meetings. And you don't do it with the intent to plant a church. You just do it with the intent to educate the people.
Right.
You do it with the intent to make a hunger, give a fresh revelation to the people. Just I just want to show you Christ. I want to show you His way of doing things. And like you said, when we realize His way of doing things, we realize that some of the things that we used to do, things that we've done, were not even necessary.
There's there's so much that keeps people out that's not even necessary. That and a lot of people hunger for truth. Everybody seeking the truth all over the place. But the establishment, I would call it the establishment, keeps a lot of people even from coming close to it because back in the day it was how you was dressed.
Correct.
You dressed a certain way. So how many people have you turned away that because they got on jeans and a shirt? Or how many people because the holier than thou, I see that more than anything. And just to let the people know, I'm big into apologetics, which is defending the faith. Basically, in a nutshell, it's
But Terrence, you know what? Not to cut you off, a lot of folks can't even defend the faith.
that's
A lot of folks don't even know why they believe what they believe.
that. And I was just about to go right into that.
And it gets me so funny. If you ask somebody, why are you this or why are you doing this? They don't even have an answer.
Exactly.
They have a rebuttal, which is an argument normally that has no substance. So they don't even know. I think as believers, that's something we have to work on all the time is how do we better ourselves? How
Hmm.
do we become more knowledgeable to talk to that person who clearly is in left field, who wants to argue with you about something that's so retarded. So we have to get ourselves into a position to better understand what God's word is saying.
Right. And to be able to provide an answer.
Correct.
And scripture.
Even if I would rather for you to tell me I don't know and get an answer to give me some of that foolishness.
Right.
Because we only get one chance to evangelize, to do it right. You know what I'm saying? You only get that one moment. If I give you the wrong information, I mess you up a lot.
Right.
It takes somebody to come along and fix that.
Right. So go after and moving into that, which brings into education. Education of scripture. Um, iron sharpens iron, getting with a group of people to help just sharpen your knowledge, to read scripture, to go over to answer questions. Do you find that a lot of people are just nervous about not knowing?
Correct. It's like this. You don't want to be said, I've been in church all my life and I can't answer that question. So what I do, I just go mute in conversation.
Hmm.
And I want to say this about that. And I got this revelation one day because I was in the back of the shed and watching Daddy sharpen a blade. And when that blade hit that metal, guess what came off?
Well,
Sparks. Even when iron sharpen iron, there will be disagreements. But we can't let the sparks or those disagreements or sparks turn us away from the conversation. I think as God molds us, the sparks are part of the healing process as He's shaping us. So we have to educate ourselves. I believe in education. I started a Bible college, Agape Kingdom Bible College, and it's to educate the saints, to equip the saints. You asked me about being an apostle. My mission is to educate and equip the saints. They
okay.
have to be knowledgeable. You can sing all day, have the best choir, have the best hoop, and have no substance. You gotta have some knowledge to share unto the people. We go there, we come to church to get an understanding, not to get a feel good. Because once the feel good is over, the problem is still there.
Right.
How do I we don't even understand what real application look like. We don't want to apply ourselves into the word. We don't want to apply ourselves into knowledge. We don't want to apply the concepts. Does that make sense? We don't want to apply. The thing is, we hear the message and the test come tomorrow.
Right.
Well, you just heard that. You just had the answer to your problem already. One of my favorite, and I don't want to quote it wrong, but it's over in Second Chronicles when Samuel built a temple, and we quote this scripture, and everybody shout, "If my people who are called by my name
Mhm.
shall humble themselves and pray." But that's the answer to their problem. He said there will be a time when the people will rebel. When they do this, humble yourself and pray.
Right.
But we don't have even understanding. We don't even when the preacher preach, we don't go under the word. We don't lift the text up.
Hmm.
We hear based on what we hear, but we don't want to go. For instance, I had a wonderful. I can talk about me this morning. Talked about leveling up. I missed this tire's inscription. The prodigal son. I missed it. I missed the part where both of them received their inheritance. That was a major way out. Now my whole outlook on that scripture have changed because guess what? I heard it wrong. I misunderstand it. Now I have the true revelation behind it. And that's what it takes. It takes us getting understanding and admitting, hey, I'm wrong in this. But
Right.
most of us can't admit that we're wrong. The worst thing we can do is be adults with childlike spirits.
Oh, I like that.
Uh,
Write that down.
Because when you're an adult with childlike spirit, your spirit is an infant, but your maturity, your flesh is old. So it's a war going on now. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm gonna have to write that one down. Yes, sir. So JD4, you have a Facebook group. What are you doing with that group?
JD4, man, I got so much going on. Like you said, I got the two churches. I have the fellowship, where there's a combination that we oversee and help give oversight to other churches, just not churches, pastors, ministers, business and entertainment. I want to bring all that into the fellowship. I
Mhm.
want to equip the saints. I want the saints to be ready. I have the college, but JD4 is my personal platform. And that's just to bring awareness to mentor, to help with leadership purposes, um, financial part of it. I have a financial piece in it. Because I think the saints, you shouldn't have to die and have to have a GoFundMe account.
Ooh, me and Nick was on last week talking about that very thing.
And then a pastor shouldn't preach at a church for 50 years and get $100 stipend a month. Have money. There needs to be investments into the kingdom. You need if I shouldn't start a church and don't be able to retire from it when I get in my old age. So those things, JD4 is to bring awareness, is to teach leaders. I have a passion for leaders.
Okay.
I love leaders. I love leadership. Sometimes I think I'm not doing a good job because I look at my own, the people that I lead. Sometimes they seem to go the other way, but I have a heart. But then I get it. But even then, I can get someone who don't sit under my voice every Sunday or every week, and they'll call me and say, "Hey, your advice or your input changed my life." So God has given me a platform for that, and I'm grateful for it because like I said, I heard a speaker say, a motivation speaker said, everything gets better when the leader gets better.
That's true.
So as the leader gets better, everything around you, even because if you look at it, we're all leaders.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yep.
your home, you lead in your marriage, it may be on your job. There's in some capacity in your life, you're leading. So that's what JD4 is. It's just me trying to, it doesn't have to be, I'm not looking for just pastors. I'm looking for business owners, people who have an out, because God has graced me, Tires. I started the ministry in Montgomery, started the Bible college,
Mm-hmm.
started the fellowship, and now he's given me things that I never thought I have. And it doesn't come without a lot of tribulation and trial. I can't go back to my hometown and do a whole lot down there because they're not ready to receive. They don't. I see if you don't know a whole lot, if you just know you're in one area, you don't want to change your mindset.
Right. And that's beautiful because having a heart for leaders, they always say, you can say it different ways, each one reach one, each one teach one. But if you can teach the leaders, if you can mentor those who are in charge of others, then your message is spread faster. And that help is spread, and that empowerment is spread, and that kingdom mindset is spread versus you going one by one by one by one. Your mentorship to leaders will get that spread so much faster. And it's just an amazing thing. As you mentor leaders, I have one of your books, What's Your Capacity? Understanding the Strength of Your Team. That's our book for the week. Talk to us a little bit about the capacity. I read it. There's some truth in this book. I'm telling you, there's some truth in this book. And right before you go into it, here's my personal testimony to this book. I took on a lot of renovation projects in 2019. I put a guy in charge of them as a project manager that at that time he was not ready for that role.
Mm.
Capacity, understanding your team. A lot of things went a different way. than they could have went because his capacity wasn't there to lead entire and several projects. It just wasn't. Nothing about him. He was a great worker, understanding the capacity. Had I read the book before, might have would have saved me some trouble.
What is your capacity? I'm grateful for this book. This book it's not a long book. I think, like Tyra says, I think I'm a little biased. It has great information to help you with understanding your leadership and the people around you. Because as leaders and the people around you, the leader is often frustrated with or angry with the team. And the team is frustrated with the leader. So there's two emotions going on there. You're like, you can't do it. You haven't done what I asked you to do. And they're saying, this is too much for me. So from this, I've just looked at this book and it was saying everybody have a capacity step, a capacity part of it. For me, the Lord gave me a analogy on light bulbs.
Mhm.
Every light bulb have a different function. They're plugged into the same power source. The same, but their output is different. And what really blessed me, Tyra, is one day I was looking at a lamp in our living room, and it says anything above a 60-watt light bulb will cause damage to this particular lamp. And I said, now, the Lord, if a lamp can tell you that it can only hold so much, how many times as leaders we put more on the person than what they're capable of holding?
All the time. And it, I'm telling you, if I had just read it before, I would have had a entirely different perspective. Because you're right. I got so frustrated with, well, why can he not do this? Why I have to tell him to do that? Why is he not doing the role that I gave him? And it wasn't him, it was me. Put
Correct.
putting 100-watt light bulb into a 20-watt lamp.
And so many times, you know what, I starting up church, a lot of times we work out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
That's dangerous because we don't have anybody else there. And then watch this, it's dangerous because we work out of necessity. And then when the right person comes, we feel slighted. Well, I've been doing this for so long, and now you're gonna move me out. Well, you really want to call to do this. So even when you talk about startup ministries, I will go back to the part now. If I was the next church I start up, the next church where we plant, it's just moving in that capacity, moving into that ministry focus when that person gets there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Instead of just putting the wrong person in there. Because if you're a greeter and you don't know how to literally you are down for the greeter and you're doing it out of necessity and you don't know how to greet the people, you got a mess going on.
Right. Because somebody's out of their station.
Correct.
And
Somebody's out of their part, and now the person you're not smiling and you're messing up. You're messing up the flow that God had for us because you're in the wrong place. And as a leader, it's our responsibility. And I'm not gonna put it on the team. As the leader, it's your responsibility to know your people. You got to know your people, and the way you know your people is by having a relationship with them. It has to be relational.
that takes it back to the kingdom. It's got to be a family. It has to be relational. It's not all business,
Correct.
and it's not all resume paper.
Correct.
Good on resume.
Let me go back to 19. Oh man, when you said that took me back. I was no, it was in 2000, around 2000, probably before I started having the church here. For y'all who don't know, we started our church in our house as a Bible study. It was not supposed to be a church. It just developed. So the Lord kind of does me like this. When I know it when it's time for me to do something, He taps my shoulder literally. I can feel this tapping on me.
Hmm.
Sometimes you know me, I'm gonna go to school.
Yep.
I enrolled in Troy to get my HRM, my human resource management degree, because I thought it was needed for where I was going at that moment. So I rolled in school, got accepted and everything, had my first class. The Holy Spirit told me to leave. I want you to listen to this. Get up and leave. And I wouldn't leave. The more the teacher taught, the more the Holy Spirit would tell me to leave. First class ended, second class started. We had a little small minute break. And the Holy Spirit, I heard that it just dropped in my spirit. What you feel, you do feel leadership, but it's spiritual.
Hmm.
That's key.
Yeah, that's key.
What I'm birthing is, I am birthing leadership inside of you, but it's not this kind of leadership at this moment. And he began to tell me, like, just because you make a good teacher in the education arena does not mean you'll be a good teacher with his concept in the kingdom. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. It makes sense.
And he just went down and walked down. So I think we feel things. When you say about resume paper, I think we feel things. I think God gives us things within ourselves that we don't quite understand. So what we do is he births spiritual things for us because we're not always spiritual. We try to equate those things into the natural.
Wow.
And we miss out on things. So you could feel leadership, but God could be calling you to pastor.
Right.
That's what I was doing. I was feeling leadership, so I thought I'd be a better boss on my job. Or I'm trying to go to a new position to get to be in this arena. And God says, that's not what I'm calling you for. I'm calling you to this. Work this. And so many times we get caught up and we get caught up on certain things because of what our flesh is telling us. We need to listen to our spirit.
That is that is so true. And chasing after for some people it's money, for others it's accolades, and you end up in a position where you are downright beat down because you may have a gift to be in that spot, but that's not where you need to be operating with that gift at that time.
Correct.
And I think in church, it does a lot of people, they want to be on the platform. Want to be in the
But you know what? You know, this is people gonna probably say this, but my pastor and I talk about this all the time. I know what God called me to do. I don't have to build a platform. I could just build a platform. And a lot of folks don't understand that I don't have to be on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
I can build a stage for everybody else to sit on.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't never have to have my name called. But a lot of folks can't handle that. A lot of folks want to build a platform and then stand on it.
Right.
When I'm always, how do I build my ministerial staff? How do I build my team at church? How do I do that? It's not all. My thing is, how do I push them out? Because any leader, I believe this. I want my team to be better than I am. That's like my children. I want my son and my daughter to be better than I am. And I think as a leader, we have to push our people, and develop our people. We have to develop our people. My church in Montgomery, we tell them all the time, we're training ground. I'm gonna let you mess up here before you go out there and mess it up. Because I gotta know what your capacity is. I gotta know what you can handle, what you can do, what's your capacity. So I gotta see what you can do.
So they are equipped at that point after they've hit the training ground, equipped to be empowerers, equipped to be kingdom builders.
So that's like discipleship. That's how Jesus knew he was done with the 12. I've done it. You can go out and do your work now.
Right. And then those disciples had their disciples, and it's just all through history, discipleship.
Think about it. 12 men, and we're still here. 13, him and the 12. And in 2020, we're still here talking about that same gospel because somebody discipled us.
Mm-hmm.
I think discipleship is so important. I think kingdom is so important. You've got to understand it. You've got to get outside of our traditional mindset. And I know it's hard. It's kind of like I'm thinking we're just like the children of Israel. God wants to free us, And they're telling Moses, at least we can go back to Egypt. We got decent burial ground. I want to free you, and you talking about dying.
Right.
I'm going to take you to a place that's overflowing with abundance, and you keep saying we can go back. At least we can go back and die there and have a decent. Really? So many times I think we get scared of what's coming.
The unknown.
Change sound good. It sounds good, but when it's time when change hits you in the face, we often clam up
Right.
because it's uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, key word uncomfortable. It's new. It's I'm not used to it. And then also I don't know what to expect. In Egypt, being a slave, you expect to get up, go to work, get a little bit of food, die. But they knew that expectation. They had no idea what was in store, nor could they see the vision for the future. So, as you mentioned that, I haven't read your second book, God is Stretching, but tell us a little bit about that. And is it wrapped into what we're talking about right now, that stretching?
It does. This is another book. It comes along with the workbook. So you can read the book and do the work. There's a workbook with it. You know, so many times we ask God for more. I need more of you, more of your glory, more of your anointing. And then when God gives you more of your more of this, we can't handle it. One of the analogies I use in the book is on a deflated balloon, you can't write giving you a glory. But when I blow the balloon up, when I stretch the balloon past to what it's really supposed to be, it may be uncomfortable balloon in the beginning, I can put down for your glory. So in this book, as God is stretching us, He's stretching us in our character. Our character is being stretched every day. How you handle people, how you respond. I think we got to be better responders now. We got to respond different. In the kingdom, we don't respond like everybody else. Sometimes your best response is a quiet response. You got to understand that even in your finances, God wants to stretch your finances. I tell my church all the time, this is the one I believe in this. If you want to know if it's truly God, when it's time to give, or when it's time, we pray for God, make me a lender. We know we quoted in Fallout, I'm a lender and not a borrower. And then somebody asks you to borrow $1, you fuss.
Right.
Well, you just made that declaration in church. The chance to come tomorrow. This is what I do know. If it's for you to be a lender and not a borrower, and if we want to know if it's God, it's going to always be in your reach. God's not going to tell me to bless you. God's not going to ask. You're not going to ask me, fella, can I borrow $500? I don't have it. I got to go call your mom because I see your mom online. That's why I said I got to call Faith and say, Faith, give me $500 because I need to give it to her. That's not God.
Okay.
If I'm a lender, it's in my reach. So God is stretching our finances. One thing I do believe, I believe this, we get caught up. And I want to talk about this for a moment from this book. The Bible says there will always be seed time and harvest time in Genesis.
Yep.
And we talk about, I think it's in 1 John, about the pride of life and the lust of the eye.
Yep.
First grade folks we said, let's look on somebody else and lust and all that. But the lust of the eye keeps you in debt, so you won't receive the harvest time. It makes your eyes better with it. So now I got to keep up with the new pair of shoes.
Right.
I got to stay in my credit out. And now I can't, now the devil got your credit so heavy and your money so tight on money, I can't sow seeds. So now because I can't sow seeds, I can't get a harvest. So that's why a lot of us miss our blessing because we so sparing. But one thing, if we continue to plant seeds constantly, we'll have continuous harvest. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. You reap what you.
God wants to stretch our finances. He wants to get you to a point where I'm constantly sowing. You can tell one thing, we might have hardship in our life, but those of us who sow constantly, God provides.
all the time.
I tell my people in my church, it's not at this point in my life, I just need you to sow. I don't care what you sow, but sow. Sow as often as you can. If it's just 1 or 2 cents, put it in the basket. Get it out there because it's needed. It's not for me. I want your life to change.
Absolutely.
So this book talks about sowing. This book talks about after you've gone through this restriction, get ready for promotion. Because when God stretches, He's going to promote you.
You can't do the same thing that you've been doing and expect a different outcome. You can't be a new person unless you go through something. So I definitely hear that God stretching you to prepare you for the other side. You got to be a new, new mind, new body, new spirit, new person to get to that other side. Still there?
I'm here.
You got a little froze on me. So how does the workbook work it with the text?
It goes along right with the text. Each chapter has a workbook section.
Okay.
But what I was saying before I got froze was I'm really enjoying this. I'm looking forward for the next section when you and I talk to the people again because I think it's so needed. We need to be financially secure. We need to understand that even in our stretching, God is not angry at us. He's trying to mature us up and grow us up. We take it personal. We feel like, hey, I'm in a situation. We're not really in the situation because character is birthed during stretching.
Oh yeah. You
Character is not birthed when things are going good.
through 2019, I put on a post that it was the hardest year of my life. I've learned so much in that year, changed so much in that year, birth just a new person because trials and tribulations, they mean something. And when you find the lesson in it, that's when you come out on the other side.
I'm gonna say this. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't know if I froze up again. One of the bishops had called me one day because let me back up. One of the bishops called me and he was basically just telling me uh, persecution. If you want to know if you're really following God, it's through the way you persecute.
Mm.
It's through the trials that you have times. And you was talking about how hard this year has been. Yes, it's been hard. And yes, it's been really, really hard. But it's God's moving us to those next places. And one may be through physical, one may be through emotional. We're all going through something to mature us up or to grow us up for this next place. And so when I look at it and I'm like, God, this is amazing. Because you started out, and I didn't clear it up when we first started, when we first did the recording. You asked me about my apostolic succession, my being an apostle.
Yep.
That was a whole different ball game for the folks around me. It was new for me. When I tell you I lost many for the sake of the gospel, people who were in church, I go through Walmart in Monroeville, and folks looking at me like I'm a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And do it different. They look at you strange now. But Tyrus, at the end of the day, God has stretched me beyond whatever I could think. If they want to stay in their closed mindsets and miss what God is doing and can't appreciate what God is doing, that's fine because God has so much more for us. And there are so many times, Tyrus, that we miss the move of God. And
Yes.
we miss the move of God because we don't understand. And so, yes, God is stretching us. He's stretching us. And one thing I'm going to go back to my other book too. And I know we're going back and forth on the books. We're going from capacity to stretching. You can be at your max capacity and your situation a little hopeless to everybody else. It's
Wow.
how God pulls you through. And
Mm.
it's how God lets your light shine during your situation. Because there's a lot of us when we're going through, nobody know, and we're still changing lives.
Right.
We don't sit down and we don't squat down and we keep doing what God wants us to do. Man, I'm loving this.
And it's beautiful because at the end of the day, kingdom building and sharing the gospel, sharing the good news, sharing the peace and the strength that comes from him, not from us, but from him, is what truly gets people through. It truly
Correct.
empowers you to be able to face whatever situation that you have, knowing that the outcome is going to be good. It's going to work out. It's going to work according to his will and his purpose. You just have to see it through. And for me, I ask why. Why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to go through that? But then, fella, I remember a couple of times I asked, I said, God, give me an experience like Paul.
Hmm.
I know for sure that you're dealing with me.
Uh,
Paul went through some stuff.
didn't he?
I forgot that part of it. I just wanted the direct revelation, the good part, the power,
Yeah.
and then forgot that, yeah, he went through it, persecuted.
Hmm. And Paul went through some stuff.
Yes.
I mean, and I don't know if a lot of us can even go through some of the things that he even went through mentally. I
Right.
mean, his safest place sometimes was in jail.
Yep. He got comfortable there.
This is good, Tyrus.
So what's next
For me,
for you? What's the next?
I got a couple more books. I'm already started on. Um, I'm praying and that God give me a platform to do this. I want to go to different places and just teach on leadership or just teach on how do I motivate or just be a mentor. So, and God has slowly opened those doors up for me. And that. So my next is just continue to build the kingdom, um, continue to educate. I want to work more on myself. I'm working on my mental. When I said this, I don't mean this in a negative. My mental health awareness. The church doesn't talk about that a whole lot, but how do you be a better you? How do you declutter your mind? How you let things go? How you be a better husband? So for me, what's next is just to keep working. I want to do some planning. I would love to do some planning, some church planning.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for people to partner with, but I'm always looking for a partner. But I'm gonna tell you about me. I'm looking for a righteous connection. I don't go seeking connection. We find each other.
Right.
Because one thing I believe when you're in covenant with someone, like you said, iron sharpen iron. When the sharpening takes place, you can't walk out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And when those sparks start flying, you will know the type of people you're dealing with because a lot will just disappear. And I'm not taking a loss. And they're gone. And you're left holding the bag. So I do understand that 100% on the proper relationships to be in covenant with the right people.
And looking for like I said, righteous relationship,
Right.
not just church. I'm looking for business owners and people who can be in covenant with me, not to be just for my fellowship, Lighthouse International Fellowship. Is to advance the kingdom, to educate the kingdom, to give an insight. So God has kind of graced me to walk into that arena. I got, like I said, several things kind of going on. Um, but I want to spend some time doing some more writing. I got 2 or 3 things the Lord has shown me about leaders through the scriptures. So I want to work on those books.
Okay. You putting out, you putting out more books that I can keep up with.
That's not all my, I shout out to Miriam Hastings. She actually, when I tell you God will put people in your place, in your path, this lady came to me with material of my own. I'm gonna say it again. She came to me with my own material.
Wow.
Typed up, and she was like, "Hey, you got too much going on. your word is, you have stuff that needs to be heard. Maybe I devalue myself at times, but she she brought stuff to me and my wife and said, look at this, let's put this together. So she gave me that extra, and I didn't know it from nobody else.
Hmm.
You never know who is watching you from a distance.
Right. Right. So when they say let your light shine, you let it shine.
Correct.
Right.
You never know who's watching you. I had to talk to a guy yesterday. His basically told me, he said, "Man, you paved the way for a lot of us. When you think you're not doing the thing, God sends those small messages your way to let you know this is working. I got you."
Absolutely. I have a similar experience with when I put my pictures on Facebook. A lot of people didn't like it when I in the hospital with the IV. My grandma didn't like it at all. You know, you sitting up there with your IV showing. But I told her, I said, Grandma, I'm doing this because I want people to know that chronic illness isn't a defeater.
Correct.
You can still live your life, live abundantly, and live happy with chronic illness. And it's not a defeater. And I stopped posting them for a while because I was asking myself, I'm like, is this really impacting anybody? And when I stopped, people asked. I started getting messages. I haven't seen a picture in a while. It really helped me get through what's going on. It really helped me here, helped me there. So there are things that we do that God does give us that confirmation on. Yeah, you're doing what I ask you to do. You're doing what I need you to do, and keep doing it. And I don't want to call grandma a naysayer. I just know that they like to keep your business.
I'm gonna tell her. I'm gonna tell her, dude.
Hey, fella, while we on here, I had looked on Facebook. I seen Josie Dean following. I said, now who on grandma phone and got her following me on Facebook?
But
But
you know what? One of the things you said that, Tyrus, I'm laughing at Justin on Facebook. I know she was on Facebook. I saw her profile, but she never sent me no friend request. So, um, I brought this. This is something I don't know if I dreamt it or penned this myself, but the hell you go through is not always for you.
Yep.
It's for others around you to see God's glory, and you handle that very well, very well, very well. I mean, for those who don't know your story, you handle that very well. And God gets the glory out of it. You give it. I know there are times when you want to stop or want to give up, but you give even in that moment, those injections and those things that you're going through, you still take time to give God the glory for just life. And I think we all may go through different things, and we all go through different things, but it's how it goes back to what I said. It's the character. It's
Right.
the character. What's the character all about? And how do you handle that?
Oh yeah, it's definitely character building to say the least, because those appointments, people don't see everything, and I don't mind sharing because I know that through my trial, like you said, my situation, there are people who get strength and can move forward, and that's what I'm about now. I've had my season of I want to make all the money I can make. I want to do all the this and that I can do for me. And it wasn't fulfilling. So as I came back to, God told me a long time ago, and I had more than one preacher confirm that times you go save lives, you go help people. That's where you are. And I ran away from that for years and years and years. And then I dabbled in it. How I mentor a couple of people here. But now my fulfillment, nothing makes me happier, more to feel more fulfilled, to feel content than to help empower somebody else and help lift them from their situation.
Guys, that's a wonderful feeling. I tell Shabik all the time, I said, my best feeling or my best sense of fulfillment, one of my best senses is when I'm helping someone understand something they don't understand, or giving them, showing them, directing them to a better way,
Hmm.
teaching their word. I love teaching. I love. It doesn't come. It comes. Kenya is one of the pastors in the church. She told me, she's like, "How do you do it?" But nobody see that on Sundays I do 2 services. I go to year-round Tuesday night for Bible study. Wednesday night to you. Wednesday night a month, go for Bible study. If there's a class going on in the college, I teach that or in support of that. Nobody sees that. Nobody sees that my son plays sports and I'm trying to juggle that and be a husband and a father. They don't see that. They just see you trying to push it all along.
Right.
They just see the end of it. They don't know what you go through or what it's like. But when you stand before the people, whatever their platform may be, because my platform is not always in church, and give them an insight for something better. It's so much money can't always pay for that.
Mm-mm. I think my best, I feel the best when I'm in a classroom full of students, when their heads are down and when their eyes are low and they're just there, and I can say something that make them light up, that change, that when I get that um, feedback from the teacher that, he don't ever talk in class, but he talked to you.
Hmm.
I don't know what you said or what you did, but it worked and is much better. And that is when people say that the children are our future, I strongly believe that. And I strongly believe that if we can impact lives earlier, we won't have so many that we're trying to rescue in the middle age and the older age. But if we could just get impact to them earlier and knowing your capacity, I'm gonna have to read it again because that helps you see the capacity of each person that you come in contact with and what they can do and what their place is in the kingdom.
Hmm. You're right.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Something that we did not touch on that I do want to touch on before we get off is the school that you and your brothers and your dad purchased. How was that birth, the idea, and what's the plan? I know it's been used for church events, comedy events. Um, it's in a location I think that is central because if a lot of the crowd don't know where we're from, but there's nothing there. In Alabama, in the little town of Uri, there's nothing there, absolutely nothing. But you all were able to purchase a high school and renovate it and open it up to the public for use. Tell us a little bit about that because I think that empowering people, and that's in my vision as well. My wife and I, a building where we can have split building where we have basketball goals, a track, so kids can go somewhere and have an outlet. But also we want to have classrooms where parents can go to get whatever information they need. So the empowerment platform is born on the internet, but it will be physical at some point, and that's our vision. So tell us a little bit about the school, what you guys have turned it into, and the vision behind it.
Well, the school. That's Daddy said the Lord told him to bid on the school. He bid it on and he won. He said God told him to give it back to the community. So our thing is to bring bring things back to just build the people back up, to bring a sense of hope back again. As Tyra said, there's nothing in that area. How do we bring hope to some people sometimes that may feel hopeless? How do they have a place to come and build their skill sets? Does that make sense? A place that how do we and that and like you said, all these things are on paper now, but they'll eventually come because we're paying for those things personally. So it's just a sense of bringing hope back. Because I believe when a school leaves a place, it leaves hope. Hope leaves with it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we bring hope back to that community, not just that community, those surrounding areas?
Right.
How do we bring things in that's going to build up the whole man? How do we bring things that's going to bring community and just awareness to the people? If it's just civic awareness, because we know we got the church thing, they got the church thing down there. They ain't gonna do anything different. But the church, we're in the black belt. So how do we bring awareness to different things? How do we bring exposure to let you see something different? So that's our goal and our focus with that is just to have some community involvement. Brings basketball scouts down. There are great players down there, but they don't get seen because they're in the middle of nowhere.
Right. Yep.
And I've been talking to different coaches and stuff and different people who have a little more scope of influence in that area to bring in people that can just see our children. I want to bring in dance and stuff just to show them something different. Bring in plays
Mm-hmm.
so our kids can be real rounded.
Yes, because you know that I listened to a thing that Steve Harvey, a little video where he was talking about a flea can jump 36 inches, but if you put it in a jar, it'll keep jumping because that's what a flea knows to do. But after
Hmm.
a while, it only jumps so high so it won't hit itself on that jar lid. And you put more fleas in there, they're gonna jump, but then they're gonna see the other flea, and then they're gonna get acclimated, and then they're not gonna hit their heads on that jar. And when they reproduce in that jar, the fleas that are born won't ever jump to their capacity. They won't
Hmm.
jump that full 36 inches because nobody around them did. And for a lot of people, it's your jar lid that is keeping you held back.
Yes.
Nothing's wrong with you. You have gifts, you have a purpose, you have things that you are meant to do, but your environment, your jar lid has been kept so tight, you don't ever reach your full capacity. So I think that that is beautiful to bring those things back to an area where we never had anything, and we had to go away to see things. And when I was in Outward Bound, it was beautiful that Caleb was able to bring in an actor, bring in acting to teach us different things, and it was different exposure. So I think that is a wonderful, wonderful thing that you guys are doing, because it is definitely needed in an area where the outlet is to just be outside with nothing to do.
Correct.
And to have skilled people come and do it. So that person, that child can see that I can be an actor. I can be a
Yep.
I can be a musician, and I can do great things. It's wonderful. Well, fellow, we have been on for a little bit over an hour. What do you want to leave us with? What do you want to leave the empowerment platform with as your departing words? And we're definitely going to have you back on again. We have so many subjects that we could talk about that we both enjoy, especially with reading, studying, delivering the word. So I definitely kind of want to do a Bible study, a deep dive on something.
Let's dive in it.
And it's my number one, because we like to talk about business and we like to talk about leadership. I think a deep dive in Proverbs
Yeah.
might be wonderful, for the people to see kingdom principles in action.
Correct.
And so, what do you want to leave us with?
Another one would be in the book of John, the Samaritan woman. That's one of the best leadership. People miss it, but that's a really good leadership. A lady who had nothing influenced her whole town.
Hmm.
A lady who was a prostitute changes the town by her encounter with a great leader. But that's not what I'm talking about. But once again, Tyus, thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed this. I mean, it doesn't sound like we've been on for an hour and some minutes, but hey, I'm grateful that you thought enough for me. Again, my books are on Amazon. You can order them off of Amazon. Just search my name, Joseph Dean, Joseph JDIV, Joseph Dean IV, and the books are there. Knowing your capacity, what's your capacity? That one in the workbook. Um, God is stretching me. That's just the workbook, and the regular book is there as well. But my takeaway, Tyrus, is we talked about. We started out talking. You asked me about me. Just be the best you. Find out who you are. Appreciate what God has given you in grace. Appreciate what's in your hand. Because what's in your hand is not in my hand. And what I mean about that, what gifts God has given you, work those gifts to your capacity. Find out all you can find out about yourself. Work it, work it. Have a relationship with God. Get into a good place that's a good Bible teaching environment that can grow you up and show you some things. So just be the best you. I believe this is one of my things. This can be our last takeaway. Invest in yourself. What I mean about that, I don't mean investing in shoes or invest in a new bag or a new suit. Invest in a book.
Oh, say that again.
Invest in a class. Go to a workshop. Those will be the best $200 or $100 you can ever invest in, and just learn and just glean off what you can glean off, and get so hungry that you want to do another workbook. Go on, find you a good. As Tasha said, I watch a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of there are several people I follow daily, but subscribe to good teaching.
Yes.
Even though Miles Monroe is big, I listen to Miles Monroe all the time. The man had good kingdom principles. So invest in you. Don't look for everything to be free. That's when I tell my leaders, get it, take your class, go to a conference, and better you. So invest in you. That's it.
That's the best takeaway that anybody can have, because Jim Rohn said that if a person told him that they wanted to be a successful business person, the first thing he would do is go in their house and look in their library. And he could tell a whole lot about a person by their library.
My wife said when service people come into the house, they'll be like, "You're either a leader or a preacher." Because he got a whole. I've outgrown two bookshelves.
Oh yeah.
And I like books. I don't want them. I mean, I know it's technology and you can put them on a Kindle. I got that. Got a Kindle, don't use it. Or have a Kindle account. I like just the feel and the smell of pages turning.
Yes, we the same. I cannot do a Kindle. I cannot read online, and I cannot do an audible book. Uh, I cannot. I can listen to a podcast all day long. I can listen to a YouTube video, but I cannot listen to a book, an audio book. I have to read and have the physical book. I just have to have it. Like you said, it's something about turning those pages that resonates with me. So as we cut off from here,
And I tell them, go and like my Facebook page.
yes,
It's JDIV. That's my Facebook page. That's my personal platform. You can follow me on my churches. My churches are Lighthouse Ministries, Family Youth Center in Montgomery, St. Paul Baptist Church in Uriah, and I got handles for those, but I don't know them by heart. And then my Bible college, I have a Bible college. It's Agape Kingdom Bible College. We have online classes. You can take classes online. You don't have to be in the classroom. The classes in this. We're working on accreditation now, so I think it'll be worth your time. We teach from leadership to biblical principles. If you're looking for a place to go in that's practical, not expensive, we're launching we're getting ready for our, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but the website is up. Go check it out. But it's Agape Kingdom Bible College. We're here in Montgomery, and then I have a fellowship of looking for a place to just, hey, I want to partner with someone. It's called Lighthouse International Fellowship, or LIFT. We have missions in Africa, take care. So we're just looking to expand and broaden, looking for leaders, looking for churches, looking for businesses. So if you feel like you might be a good hit, we might be a good fit for you, inbox me. I'm always available. I can't get with you. I get one of the leaders to get back with you, but I'll get back with you. So Tyrus, again, thank you, man. I enjoyed it. I know it's a whole lot just that, but that's what I want to leave with.
That is wonderful. And what we can do is, if anybody has any questions, uh, and they may not got the link or the contacts, you can always contact me on the page, the empowerment platform. Shoot a message there, and we will connect you, because that is the purpose of the empowerment platform, is to connect the people to the resources to empower your situation. We thank you, Facebook family, and you have a good night.